So these are just individual modular synth units. It's a system called Eurorack. It's sort of built out of the analog synth stuff from the 1970s. So Eurorack is just like it's really like a spacing designation. So like if you make things to Eurorack specifications, everyone knows it's going to fit in the rack. It uses the same power requirements, all that stuff. The big thing about Eurorack is just there are a lot of manufacturers for it, and they're all making their own little specific sound. What I like most about Eurorack is it's all governed by what is called control voltage. So each unit either receives voltage or puts out voltage. And that voltage goes from, -8 to +8 volts. And so you can plug anything into anything else. That's where the fun and that's where like the modularness comes from, which is you're not governed by a simple signal flow that's been set for you, which is what you have on like a lot of like the basic synthesizers that you're going to buy. Your pitch goes to your volume control, and then your volume control goes to a filter, and then your filter goes to a delay. In Eurorack, you can say like, okay, I want the delay to go into the filter, and then the filter governs the pitch, and then the pitch governs the delay. So you can create like cool feedback loops, and you just get completely unpredictable sounds that way. You can have a sequence of control voltage that say is your melody, right? So like 2 volts, 3 volts, 4 volts. That's very simplified, but say that's your pattern. In one patch, it could be my melodic pattern, but then I could manipulate it and use it as rhythm in another patch. Or I could use it as filter control. And so in that way, your rhythm can become your melody and your melody can become your rhythm. Every unit of a composition can be applied to any other parameter in the piece. And so there's just like such a fluidity between everything that for me, it really helps with creating like sort of the weird soundscapes and ideas that you want to play with, because anything can become anything else. I think of it as like creating an ecosystem of interdependence, and you sort of let it play out. And that's why recently I've been doing a lot of feedback systems in my Eurorack, because I sort of want elements to influence each other and sort of play off each other, and over time they sort of expand and contract in interesting ways.
Your music is really emotional. There's such a depth to it and this complexity to it, and I feel like I almost don't know how to put it to words. I can feel that it's there. I feel like it affects me in an emotional way that I can speak to that. But as far as what's causing it, I almost don't even know how to put into words. To me, that's the amazing thing, is that you're working completely with electronic circuits, but it's so evocative, like just the sounds. It's almost like, I don't even know why, but it's like you're listening to it, it's just like, it makes you like... Tell me about your album that's coming out.
So yeah, I've got an album coming out at the end of the month. Ostinatos is going to be the name of it. Previous album was Arpeggios. Arpeggios is very simple, very straightforward, rhythmic, melodic music. Ostinatos is taking that idea and really focusing on the repetitive aspect of it. The one weird thing about the album was it was pretty influenced by like COVID and everything. I think when that happened, there was a big slowdown, and you can sort of hear it in the album that like the album sort of like dives off a cliff at one point. It just gets really dark, really slow, really like meditative and reflective, because back in March and April, it was a very odd time. It's even hard to even remember back to how that felt. But when I played the tracks, I think like, damn, I was going through something. I think we were all going through something,
With the process like of recording, is it all like live one takes?
For this album, almost. Yeah, everything is one take. So I'll just give a little example. So here is a unit that I like a lot by a company called Make Noise. And it's sort of like a delay/reverb unit. So if I turn the sound up, I'm going to increase the delay. There's a really great simulator, like a Eurorack simulation software for your computer. It's called VCV Rack. And I would say anyone who's interested in Eurorack should check that out first, because you sort of learn the theory behind it. You get to play with all the different units without buying them. They're all freeware. And so I did that for like a year, started to write down what type of sounds and music I wanted to make using Eurorack. And that sort of like informed the modules that I bought. The joke is they call it Eurocrack, because once you start buying it, like, you know, you can really go off the deep end. You have to be very careful about how deep you dip your toes into the world. I'll tell you a story. When I was in elementary school, you could sign up for music lessons. And if you signed up for music lessons, you got out of handwriting. And I hated handwriting. I was like, I don't want to learn cursive. I hate handwriting. I'm going to sign up for music lessons. And so I signed up for music lessons, and it was clarinet. So the first day, you know, you go in, they give you your loaner clarinet. The teacher shows you how to put it together. I did not want to put the clarinet together the way that it was instructed that it be put together. Everything inside my body told me there's got to be a better way to put the clarinet together than what the teacher told me. And after I learned that you have to put the clarinet together the way that he has instructed you, because that's the only way you're going to be able to play the instrument, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to handwriting. and I dropped out of the music. You know, I canceled it after like 2 lessons or something, because I just didn't want to accept that that was the way that it was. I started actually with sort of like a more academic approach to music. So I went to music school for music composition. There I sort of got heavily involved with like contemporary music, classical music. I think like what most people who go to music programs, like you become a live sound engineer, you know, you record bands around the city. I started towards the end of Boston, I started doing a lot of like classical music recording. Through that, I got interested in recording processes. So a lot of the music I was doing before, a lot of this modular stuff was field recording based. So I would go out, I would capture sounds that I heard, you know, out in the city or out in nature, and then I would sort of incorporate those into compositions.
There's all different levels and ways and languages of being an artist. Like what goes through my head, I'm thinking purely about harmonies, when the vocals come in, you know, that kind of thing, where the bass drops out. Like that's what I'm thinking about. I'm just thinking, play this, sing this. And then you have guys like, you know, you and Timo and, you know, Brian Eno or whatever, you know, who have this sensibility, I guess, that I like guys like me, I just don't have access to that.
I got to push back on that. Having heard you, you might not know that you have access to it, but I think you do. I really do. Because you are into, like, you were saying you want to play a certain line in a song a little different every time, you know? So you're touching into, like, there's like a different tone that you want that note to emphasize, or a different meaning you want that note to take on.
Yeah, to some extent, but it's like, you know, I'll sing something different, but it'll be like, you know, some kind of soulful line, you know, and I pretty much always stick in the same scales, you know. I mean, you know, I don't see it as poo-pooing myself. I'm not trying to be dismissive of what I do at all. I just, you know, it's just like how my brain thinks of music, even just on a pure pop music level. For the decision-making process it would take to make a Whitney Houston song, I can process that. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. This sounds good, and don't do that. Whereas for a Beyonce song, like Single Ladies, how the hell did they even come up with that crazy, weird, droning sound that's going through that song? It's like not even on key. It was totally not musically normal, but obviously it was hot and very accessible, and most people could appreciate it. I've realized over time, because like when I'm playing on the subway, and I'm playing just bass and singing, but in my head, I'm hearing a full arrangement. And you know, as the creator of anything, you know, whether it's a song or movie or a painting, you know, you have your vision of what it was supposed to be, but once the piece is created, what your intention was ultimately is kind of actually irrelevant. It just happens to be the road that you had to go down to create the thing. But once the thing is created, then it lives on its own, and its significance, by definition, is the significance that people assign it. It's so funny because like when I talk to people, a lot of people were like, oh, like what would you call this style of music? And I'm just like, pop. But they're like, oh, it sounds like some really minimalist this or that. And I realize, oh, I guess I'm kind of creating that. But in my head, I'm hearing the full arrangement. Hell, I'm hearing.
You're hearing the drum fills. You've got the solo in the background.
Yeah, I'm like, you're just hearing a bass in my voice, but I'm hearing like harmonies. I'm hearing like a guitar solo, doing a little lick for that, and I hear epic drums on everything. I hear Phil Collins playing drums on all my songs.
That's something I actually really appreciate about your performances and when you do a song, because you have stripped down music to its like most fundamental thing. It's a voice and a bass. But because of that, it's all emotion, it's all essence coming through when you perform, And that's, I think, really what I resonate to, and I think a lot of other people resonate to when you're playing your music. Every time you're playing a song, whether you wrote it or if it's a cover, you're just loving it the whole time, You just look like you just learned this song and like you just want to share it with the whole world, and it just comes across as like so sincere and so genuine, and that's really what's beautiful about music, which is it just like immediately reaches out and touches you. And like I saw you in 2016, I want to say,
okay.
on the 7.
Okay.
Coming back from Flushing. I think I told you this story. I think I like texted it to you or something. But like, and I was like, this guy's amazing. Like this, like I don't even really. I think you were doing like Boardwalk Angel or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And like, I wouldn't normally listen to a song like that, but I was like, this guy's just singing it like he's giving it his all. I can really see. I didn't get your name. I didn't get a card or anything. And then I was just like, every time I rode the 7, I was like, I hope I see that guy again. Like, I need to see that guy again. I had no idea who you were, and then I think I even like a couple times Googled. I was like, guy on the 7 train playing bass or something, like, let's see if I can find him, And then I saw you again on the 7, which isn't even crazy. Someday I got to tell you that story, because I was like, really shouldn't have seen you because it was not like my normal schedule. But I saw you again. And I was like, oh my God, that's the guy, finally. It was a very beautiful coincidence. And I'm just very happy because your music has like, especially these past couple months, like been very necessary. Just like how you come across with your songs and stuff. I really love it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, man. I really do, man. I that does mean a lot to me, and in the end, what you're saying to me, that is totally what I do. My all my songs are super simple. I don't play anything that I don't love. The songs that I play are just the songs I love. I feel like that's kind of what comes across in your stuff too, is that it's so like honest. It comes from a genuine place of inspiration and creativity that you can't fake,